President Cyril Ramaphosa says SARS has shaken off the shackles of state capture. He was speaking at the 25th year anniversary of the revenue collector in Pretoria today, following a 7.8% decline in tax revenue for the 2020-2021 financial year. Ramaphosa says the receiver has collected 1.6 trillion rand in the financial year that ended in March 2022. Let's go to eNCA reporter Moloko Moloto, who was watching the event and joins us now live from Pretoria. Moloko, what other details did the president give us? I see that he was also thanking the employees, calling them heroes.
Well, that's very true, Masero. The president, along with the National Commissioner of SARS, Edward Kisweta, really were joined by the more than 12,000 workers of SARS from across the country connected online, just to celebrate the 25th anniversary since the founding of this institution. You would recall that it was actually amalgamated. The various agencies that existed during apartheid were amalgamated to form this single entity 25 years back. And over the years, it's really been the pride of the country. And as it was described by the National Commissioner, Edward Kisweta, it's been the jewel in the crown. However, yes, during the COVID years, during the financial year of 2020-2021, the SARS actually collected less money. The collection of revenue declined by about 7.8%. However, the SARS commissioner saying that they have turned the corner for the financial year that ended in March this year in 2022. They have managed to increase that 1.2 trillion rand collection to 1.6 trillion rand, Masero. Let's listen to the Commissioner of SARS, Mr. Kisweta.
We think of our work. We don't think of our work as the administrators of law. We don't think of our work as making sure that tax policy is transformed into tax aspiration, but we express the reason why we do this as our higher purpose. And that is in the knowledge that the work we do is transformative. It touches the lives of every South African, and in particular, the most vulnerable in society, as we saw during COVID, would be left completely destitute were it not for the resources that is yielded by the work of this wonderful institution we call SARS.
And look, I heard your conversation with the head of communications at SARS, Sipiti Sibego, who was saying that although things have been difficult, they have at least been able to meet some deadlines. And the president also calling them, for instance, a world-class institution. Tell us more about what the president said about SARS.
Oh yes, the president has lauded the workers of SARS, calling them and this institution the lifeblood of the economy, going on to say that every government requires money, echoing the sentiment made by the Deputy Minister of Finance, David Masondo, who said, government wants your money. So the president was really saying that the people who work for SARS are dedicated, and if you look at the fact that this institution is emerging from the years of state capture where governance, he says, had collapsed, where the funds or finances of this institution were actually looted. Of course, we know that Bain, the consulting company that had been contracted, and subsequently we saw the investigations that actually found that the 168 million rand that had been paid to that company, that was done unlawfully. So, of course, they repaid that money with interest. But the president was simply saying that SARS is a good model of governance, indicating that or becoming an example of the institutions that are emerging from those years of state capture. Let's listen to the president here.
Someone was saying SARS became an exemplar, a real exemplar of what we can achieve as South Africans in terms of it being the institution that functions so well, and that with that it became world-class.
And Moloko, I was actually going to ask you particularly about Bain & Co. and whether or not there was any reaction to the fact that they've written to Treasury to ask Treasury to please be more lenient towards them. But let's leave it there for now.